Episode number 132 of Making a Case. Is it even worth getting married for men? Let's dive into it. Hey, what up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Making a Case. Episode number 132. We just knocking them out. I'm your host, Dr. Jacob Isom. We got two channel norms. One, we'll take points in our people, and then two, we don't do all that cussing and derogatory stuff because we're professional over here. All right. Got another great episode for you. And it's a topic that has been discussed particularly recently. And I mean, all the different angles you can go into when you talk about should men get married, right? There's a lot of different opinions coming from the male side and the female side. Of course, we understand why female want to get married. It's a little bit different on that side versus men, right? Men and women have different responsibilities, whether that's social or biological, everywhere you want to splice it. Okay. But men nowadays are seeing marriage a little bit different. If we was to be honest, marriage is just not looked at the same, right? A lot of people like to go to, well, marriage is a covenant between man and woman and God, even though I addressed this in my first book, The Living Testament, Trading Dollars for Change, on jacobisom.com and Amazon. Shameless plug. That actually marriage was started way before religions were even thought of, right? And I won't go into that whole spiel here, but if you definitely like to know, definitely pick up my first book. So that's not true. It's true now, right? Because we say it is, but marriage, particularly nowadays in modern times, is a contract, right? And once two people want that contract to end, then it usually gets pretty ugly, right? Do people split amicably and peacefully? Yes, but I would say, unfortunately, a lot of times feelings are involved, and people divorces can get downright nasty, particularly from the woman's side, because women file for divorce 70 to 80% of the time, right? Which is a factor in why a lot of time men is like, why should I get married and then build something or bring in different resources and finances only for the court to look at me and say, hey, she's entitled to half of it or a quarter of it, alimony, child support, etc. Right? She's gonna take the kids. So it's just a lot of different factors of why men are like, I don't know if the risk is worth it, right? I myself being a person that used to be married, I'm not sure if I would ever do it again. I would never say never, but at this point, I'm not planning on having any more kids. So I think marriage is definitely for building a foundation for legacy and for having kids. So I think at this point, it just, you know, it wouldn't be beneficial to me to get married. Okay. Maybe my mind might change. I don't know. So I'm always, I'm open. Right. So in this episode, what we're gonna address, some of the reasons I just mentioned and some more reasons why men are kind of looking in mirrors like, eh. And I would never discourage my young fellas out there not to get married. The only thing I will say is this: if you're thinking about getting married, make sure you sign a prenup. Make sure you understand the pluses and minuses. Make sure that you don't spend a whole bunch on a wedding and a wedding ring and all these different things. It's a lot of different factors that go into it. So I would say definitely get counseling from other men. If you go to church, get counseling from your preacher. Just make sure you do your homework and get educated on marriage and things of that nature. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the videos that I have for you today. And let's have the conversation. All right. Let's get it.
Well, why get married? People want a partner. Half the dialogue that you hear between people, especially if they're single, is related to their desire to have a partner. And of course, half the dialogue you hear from people who are in a relationship is how to deal with problems in their relationship. But it's a very rare person who doesn't need and want an intimate relationship. And then you have to ask yourself, well, what does intimate mean? And the cheap interpretation of intimate is sexual, but that's a pale reflection in some sense of true intimacy, even on the sexual front, because true intimacy means getting to know someone. Well, why get married? People want a partner.
I have to preface before I say what I'm about to say. I love Dr. Jordan Peterson, right? I agree with most of the things that he say, other than his take on religion. But in this one, I disagree because, well, in modern times, we can get intimacy, which I do agree that yes, actually intimacy is not about sex, right? Can you get intimacy with sex? Absolutely. But intimacy is far deeper than just sex. But people don't need marriage to have a partner. People don't need marriage to have intimacy, right? We can get those in long-term fulfilling relationships, right? With someone without going to the courthouse, without having paperwork and things of that nature. So we don't need marriage. Right now we're still living with this tradition when it comes to marriage, even though a lot of marriages are not traditional. A lot of men and women aren't traditional, or at least 100% traditional. Even the most conservative people aren't all the way traditional, right? So marriage is not needed in order to have a committed relationship, in order to have partnership, right? So that's just flat out false. But I want to kind of start with that to let you know why men may be, going a different path and different route. So some men do are saying that, hey, well, I can be with somebody without being married. And that's just the facts. All right. Let's go a little deeper.
Men, hear this, are afraid that once we get married, you ain't gonna want to have sex. Men want to be pursued too. Men should not be the only one initiating sex. You should be tapping our shoulder. Ting, 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 ting. Bay you up. Bay you up. Bay you up. He need to be pretending like he sleep too. What? Hell, y'all up. They worry about failing as a husband. I know you all don't think we care about whether we succeed as husbands, but we do. Men carry an invisible scoreboard in their head. They see marriage as high stakes. High stakes. Marriage isn't just emotional for men. It's also practical, y'all, financial and spiritual. Men understand the risk of divorce. They equate respect with love. Ladies, sex is not respect and love to a man first. We need sex. We desire sex, but the thing that is primary over sex is respect. And respect looks like valuing his ideas, trusting his decisions, and not undermining him verbally or non-verbally. They want peace more than perfection. Interestingly enough, when you are insecure, broken, or even led or influenced by social media, you will be focused on perfection, but not being a peaceful woman.
So it's two things I took for that clip right there. One is the sexual aspect, and one is the expectation aspect when it comes to men. So let's start with the first one, right? So it has been a running joke since I've been young, right? That once a man gets married, that he gets sex once a month or once every 2 weeks or however that may be, right? And the thing about it is, I don't think it's as much as a joke as it is more so reality, right? So a man getting married has to sleep with one woman, or he's expected to, right? And so his even though his sex drive may be pretty high, particularly if you get married at a young age. So not only are you stripping away the fact that he has had sex with one woman, and now you're dwindling down how much he has sex. Okay. Of course, that's going to be a little bit, men are looking at it like, is that a good deal for me? And then the other part is the expectation. There's always a set of expectations placed on men that is not on women, right? So in a marriage, a man is supposed to be protector and provider. In a relationship, he's supposed to be that, right? in society in general that's expected of him. So now, particularly if he have kids, now he's responsible for this person. And whether you want to admit it or not, he's also responsible for making sure that you and the kids are happy, protected, happy, right? Financial, all those aspects. So it's a lot of pressure on the man, and a lot of times that his wants, his needs, and desires, they're last place, right? Nowadays, men ain't even getting the big piece of chicken no more. And I didn't talked about that before, right? So it's like I'm giving up all these things, going back to what I previously said, right? So now I gotta sleep with one woman. I'm last. Um, I'm not as respected, particularly if the woman already has kids. Like it's a lot of different factors that a lot of times just don't end up being in the best interest of men. Okay, let's say that. All right. Let's go to our next video.
I mean, just the fact of the matter is that marriage, divorce is, I don't see the benefit. From a religious point of view, I don't have an issue with it, but with the government, when it comes to divorce, when it comes to the financial ramifications, when it comes to the court system, which has a pretty gnarly bias against men, just men get destroyed in divorce, and women initiate 80% of divorces. That's 90% if they're college educated. So I really don't see the benefit. The vast majority of people who pay alimony and child support are men. So it's just all the negative outcomes of divorce disproportionately impact men. So there's just absolutely no incentive to get married.
And there you have it in a nutshell, folks. I wanted that to kind of be the final video to wrap things up, because that surmises why men nowadays are really thinking twice or either don't want to get married, right? When it comes to a relationship ending, which women are going to end it most of the time, and a man has, like, he has no control. And a lot of times men love having control, right? Not that say that men want to control women, is that men, just like people in general, right? And you see this a lot of time with women nowadays, like they want to be able to control their own destiny, which was the reason why a lot of women either say they're single for a reason, or they want to be single, or what have you, right? They want to get into their career first because they can control that, right? So human beings by nature want control, right? So when a man get married to a woman, he gives up a lot of control. He doesn't know when she gonna say, "Hey, I'm not happy no more. I want to take the kids and leave." Right? That's scary for a man, right? Who his kids are his legacy. Men really love their kids when they have kids, right? We're talking about it in general. Okay, so alimony, child support, spouse support, all that stuff is typically goes in the side of the woman. So a man has a lot to lose and a lot to risk if he get married. And I know the people who are married, whether it's men or women, say, well, here's the upsides of marriage, and you can have health benefits and tax benefits and stuff like that. It still doesn't outweigh what a man could lose in a divorce. All right. So men don't want to get married because of the divorce happening, because most of the time men are not filing divorce. These are just the numbers, right? We got to go by reality, not by how we feel, or not by, because he mentioned religiously speaking, right? Well, how many of these people who filing for divorce are Christian or people that believe in God? I would say just the same amount, about 80%, right? So it's like, are people really putting, their mouth where their religious beliefs are? And based off of the reality, I don't think people are. All right. So we're going to end the episode with that, man. Hopefully I gave you a different perspective on really more so the ladies on why men maybe, second guessing a question of getting married. I'm pretty sure you heard a lot of these points. You probably didn't hear anything too new in this episode, but just to reiterate, some things. But men are still getting married, right? So there's no need to get afraid or scared about that. But men are definitely wising up and definitely start to take the precautions when it comes to prenups and things of that nature. So because men got to protect themselves. I always say it all the time. Like, if nobody gonna look after you, you have to, right? Because nobody's gonna look after you like you. All right. But hey, once again, I appreciate y'all for checking me out, man. Make sure you like the video, share it, comment. Let me know, what do you think about the video. If you have any topics you would like me to cover in the future, please leave me a comment and let me know. But as always, I'm you, you are me. Love always, love return. Remember, worst thing you can do is lie to yourself. Hey, and we out. Deuces. One love.